Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck. And the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline.
It's contest season.
Contest season.
Yeah, contest season.
What does that mean? Because when I think of contest season, I think about, all the competitions we do in fall and stuff. What does that mean in the spring, April, May? Like, what's contest season in band?
So that's a great point. It's the same thing, but there's three different cycles. There's a marching band contest.
Okay.
There's a jazz band contest.
Okay.
And there's a concert band contest. Okay. And they're the same thing. It's where kids perform and they get judged by adjudicators. Now, it's a much different adjudication system, much different adjudication style, and some, different format. But the bottom line is kids have worked hard to prepare something. People who are supposedly are experts are going to listen to it and watch it, and they're going to give you a score. Now, in different states, it's handled different ways. In Arizona, you have to qualify for the state contest because we're in contest season right now. State contest will be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
If you're in Texas, they use what's called the UIL. And UIL is, they don't have a region in a state. You don't qualify. Everyone goes to UIL, and it's over a 7-week period.
Gotcha.
In other areas, they do a contest in the fall and they do a contest in the spring, and they talk about the growth in between. So it's as broad as the states are in this country. But in general, bands are preparing right now for their end of year assessments that we would call contest or festival.
Okay.
So that's what this episode's about. Folks, I'm Scott Lang.
Chris Flynn.
And we are the
Band Dads. So I think I'm familiar with, my kid goes one day and plays in front of a group of judges or something. But when we talk about contest, again, I think it's just a little different for parents because maybe it's not as transparent, right? Like they're not necessarily going head to head. If they are, we don't see that. It's not like there's a number score. If there is, we don't see that, right? This is the kind of thing where you just hear your kid says the band rated excellent or superior or like what, you know what I mean? Like it's a different feel. So like
marching band has a lot more uniformity.
Okay.
Now the numbers may be a little bit different, but a box 5 rubric is going to be a box 5 rubric across all 50 states. A band that gets a 92 in, North Carolina may not get a 92 in Texas, but just about everywhere else. Like there's some consistency to it. There is not to concert contest.
Okay.
And so like there are some states that actually they release the numbers and you are ranked and you are a state concert band champion. There, you got a 92.3.
There is number ranking.
There is in very few states. Okay. Indiana happens to be one of them.
Okay.
You have a score and you are a state concert band champion, just the way you are a state marching band champion. In Arizona, you don't get a number score. You get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. 1 being the highest, superior. And if you get all superiors from all the judges, it's called a superior with distinction.
Because you were perfect across the board.
Not perfect. You got a 1.
Sorry, you got the highest score with all of the judges.
That is correct. So like in Arizona, the only bands that can go to state are ones that qualify by getting a 1 or a 2 at area festival. In Texas, at UIL, there is no state contest. There is UIL, and it starts late February because you're talking about doing 3,000 bands and ends late April, early March, and you are slotted. Like a lot of my clients are like, yep, we're the second week in March. That is our UIL slot. It's been that way for 20 years. It will be that way for 20 more.
Okay. I got you.
And then there are other people and it's really interesting. You should think about like the same standard is supposed to exist in late February and late April, but there's 8 more weeks of rehearsal time if you're in late April.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
And the way they do their state honor system is that you submit tapes from UIL.
Oh.
And then they take the top round of 10 and they announce them as honor bands.
Okay.
And then the top band gets to play at the convention in each division, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like marching band.
Okay.
Now that's UIL. In Arizona, there are no divisions for concert band.
I was going to say, I've never heard of that before.
So like I said, there's structure to marching band that is pretty uniform. Now the number may be different, but you break it down by size. And a show should be about, that doesn't exist in concert band. But in general, what you do is you prepare 3 songs. And in general, you have a march, you have a ballad, and then you have a grander work.
Okay.
So something from John Philip Sousa, Carl King, Husa, someone who you generally open up with a march. And the reason you do that is because it's kind of a standard that everyone gets to be judged against, because Sousa is Sousa. I don't care if you're a band of 100 or two, or you're of a school of 2,000 or a school of 200. I don't care if you're a band of 100 or a band of 80. Sousa should be Sousa, and it's considered the bedrock of this activity.
Evens the playing field.
Yeah, so it's almost always, if it's not required, it is highly suggested you open with a march. Now, I don't like John Philip Sousa. I'm going to tell you right now. So I always did what I call alternative marches by anyone but John Philip Sousa.
Is there any place that does it where the music is like assigned? So to your point, if I'm trying to judge bands against each other, is there any place that assigns music to say, these are the pieces we want you to play, or no? Is it all just...
Someone did this, but there are approved lists. So Texas has an approved list, and you have to draw at least one work off the approved list.
Okay.
Arizona uses something called the Virginia Music Educators Approved List. At least they did when I taught. Gotcha. So I'd have at least one work. And the reason they do that is, A, they want you to do a seminal work.
Sure.
It's something of historical heft that isn't written. They don't want you doing 3 tunes that were written last week that are the latest, greatest fad with electronic tones. They want you to have to do some. Sure. But the second reason they do that is there's equilibrium of grading. And so the Virginia Music Educators calls, in the previous episode, talking about Granger, we talked about a children's march. The Virginia Music Educators calls it a grade 5 work. And so if I'm required to have a grade 5 work, it has to come from a certified list that certifies that piece is a grade 5 work. So I'm not saying, my easy beginning band out of a method book, that's my qualifier. No. In order to qualify, you have to have one work of a grade 4 or a 5, and it has to be from an approved list.
So just because I like to understand the nuances of things, is there some reason why Virginia is accredited in that way?
I think they were the first ones to come up with a list.
I mean, okay, that makes sense.
Arizona just
Virginia's
copied
been around a long time.
So now, like in UIL, it's a big deal to get. If I'm a new composer, I would submit to UIL. I just wrote, the Rite of Winter, right? It's a sequel to the Hounds of Fall or whatever. I have to submit that to UIL, and I'd have to say, I want this to be on the approved list, and I want it to be listed as a grade 4, and here's why. And then UIL would approve it. Now, that's a big deal if you're a composer, because now bands can play it.
Okay.
They couldn't play it before. So that's 3,000 potential clients that are going to buy your literature because it's on the list.
So that was kind of my question is I know during marching band season, we've talked about there is an expense to licensing the music that they play in these performances, shows, whatever. Does the same thing exist for these type of competitions?
Yeah, it does. So there's a couple things. You don't pay mechanical or sync rights because there's typically not an audience.
Yes.
But when you buy the piece, you own the right to perform it.
Okay.
And you own the right to perform it in front of an audience if there is not a fee collected. In other words, you're not charging the audience.
Makes sense.
Now, what you do have to do if you go to contest, the kids have to have the original work, not photocopies. And you have to have, I think this is dumb, Chris. If you have 3 judges, you have to have 3 copies of the original score. You can't photocopy it. And so when I go buy a work that's going to contest, I buy the work and then I have to order 3 extra sets of the scores.
Huh.
I think that's dumb because I only use it for 28 minutes one time.
Yeah.
But you have to have everyone associated with the work has to have a paid for original.
I almost think we just stumbled upon kind of a side question, which not necessarily anything I've thought to that level, but maybe there's a bigger reason. And this could go for a lot of things in this activity that sometimes people don't realize. But is that maybe the reason why often when you go to your kids' concerts, they don't charge admission? Because this would be a way to raise extra money for your band, but do they not charge admission because they really can't? Because the license they have to perform the music doesn't really allow them to collect money to play? I think
they just feel sheepish about charging the parents to hear their kids play when their kids paid to hear.
Just saying, but that's a good out, is it not?
It is a good out.
You just mentioned that they don't really have the right to collect money from an audience to play.
No, it's because then that generates royalties, and royalties have to be shared with the composer.
Right, gotcha.
And so that is, but it's a really interesting thing because most people, they hear, oh, we went to contest, and we got a superior, we got an excellent, whatever we got. But the thing is, to a band director, that contest for jazz, the state or area contest for jazz and for concert is every bit as meaningful as the marching contest. It's just less public. So
then what? Then help me understand why. Because to your point, marching band is public. There is an audience. Parents come in. It's almost a way to help create hype for the program and I don't want to say recruit, but other people can interact with it. They can see it. Why is this as important if it's such a more private event?
So there's 2 reasons. One is because it's the more academic of the 2 functions.
Okay.
In other words, you're playing serious music in a serious place in front of serious people. And so if you want to be taken seriously as an educator, an academic, then you want to excel at this space.
Okay.
And the second thing is it's more about you than it is about anyone else, because marching band say, well, my drum staff's not very good. My color guard has got a long way to go. My drill writer really screwed us. You get a 3 at concert band contest. It's because you're a 3 teacher. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like, oh, you're not good. I'm just saying you can't blame the color guard instructor.
There's no staff to hide behind
exactly.
when it comes to the results.
And so when you get a rating that you think isn't great, it's a gut check for you. Like, okay, I thought we sounded good. I thought I rehearsed them good. I thought I chose good literature. I thought I prepared them well. And we just got spanked.
Interesting.
So maybe I'm not as good of a teacher as I think I am. Maybe my ears aren't as good as I thought they were. Gotcha. Maybe my pedagogy isn't as good as I thought it was.
Okay.
So it's for a director, it's highly academic and you've got no one else to hide behind. And so you can say, I'm state marching band champion, and that's going to make the parents super happy.
Right.
But when you walk into a collegium of colleagues or you're in a room of band directors, what they're really thinking is, yeah, but you got a 3 at concert contest.
Makes sense.
So it's your staff that's teaching your marching band. Because when it comes to you, you ain't got the chops.
Gotcha. Now, as a former band director, so my question would be, as a former band director.
You were a former band director?
As you, Scott Lang, as a former band director, what preparation is involved? Meaning that if you're going to play a piece at contest, how much time goes into preparing and learning that piece? How far ahead do your kids learn how to start playing this piece?
That's a great question. I believe a good educator treats it like a concert cycle, which is 6 to 8 weeks. But there are people who start right after the Christmas concert and do it the entire semester. And I'm not going to say that's good or bad. I'm going to tell you that doesn't work for me.
Meaning that's too long.
It's too long. Like there are groups, and not through a fault of their own. Let's say your UIL is in late April. You're not going to turn around and prep an end of year concert 2 weeks after that. You can't. And you don't want to wait till February to start it because it's a big deal. Your UIL score, your principal wants to know what it is. Your parents. So if you have a late UIL date in April, you're kind of screwed. You're pretty much going to do. You're going to do concert literature, the same 3 tunes all spring. Okay.
That's because in my mind, I'm thinking, because you're saying that that's maybe too much time, but I'm almost thinking back to, again, when we did, Band Around the World, and we talked about, some of the ways that some of the Asian cultures go about concert band and memorizing a tune and the way
they spend a year on it.
Right. We watched kids play without sheet music
and playing better than college bands. Right. But they do it 8 hours a day, the same 3 tunes, and they do it, they do it 8 hours on the weekends. They do it 2 hours a day after school. They do it the same 3 tunes for 8 months. You have to decide whether the product justifies the means. For me, it does not.
Okay.
That is just my personal choice.
Okay.
Because I want to be careful here. I don't think the added time necessarily results to added learning.
Okay.
It results in added technique.
Gotcha.
But I don't think, I think that in order to learn the style of John Philip Sousa, you got to play more John Philip Sousa. You can't play one tune.
Okay.
In order to learn the style of chorale, you got to play lots of chorale. I believe that you have to move through more and varied music, not only to keep the kids engaged, keep my own mind from turning to mush, but because I don't think you can teach all concepts on 3 tunes.
No, that makes sense. And one of the things that came up again on our travel episode when they talked about, starting to pick music to play on a stage like Carnegie Hall, do you think that a lot of the reason why they play the music they do are directors smart enough to understand the strengths of their bands and their kids to be able to pick proper music?
That is such a great question,
because I'm concerned more of that you're picking something.
Here's what I would tell you. The older you get, the more experience they get, the better you get at that.
Okay.
I look at my first area contest and my band had no business playing any of those 3 charts,
Gotcha.
Much less all 3 of those charts.
Okay.
I chose with my eyes, not my ears and my brain. I love this work. Well, yeah, but it needs 6 French horns and I don't have any. It's 11 minutes long and my kids have no stamina.
Right.
Most groups fail at contests. The number one reason is because the directors don't choose appropriate literature. And 8 times out of 10, it's the directors chose something that's too hard. And by the time you figure it out, contest is 3 weeks away. It's too late to swap it. You just got to ride that horse. And I have done it more often than I didn't do it, Chris. Think about that. In 16 years, I'll bet I overprogrammed 10 of the 16 years.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your honesty. I definitely do. Now, so we've talked about the behind the scenes a little bit. Now, I know personally that, so we said this is generally not like an attended event, right? It's not as public per se, right? But that doesn't mean it can't be, or maybe in certain places it can or can't.
They're open events.
I've been to some,
No one goes to them because they're in the middle of the day. They're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I want to, the thing I also want to say is about literature is there are times you pick literature and it's going to hurt you at contest. 1 year we did Festive Overture, and it was that is an incredibly difficult piece. But my kids, we sight read it and they fell in love with it. And I was like, well, I don't care what score we get. You guys like coming to rehearsal every day. You're practicing at home. Let's go do this. Let's take this to contest. And we did. And we actually got a spirit distinction. But there are times you choose literature and it's bad for you contest, but it's good for kids.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, I guess the best thing for programmers, I'd say it's like being a chef.
Okay.
You got to have an entree.
Yeah.
And you got to have something, a vegetable, and you got to have a starch. The portion of the vegetable is going to be the smallest. That's your march.
Gotcha.
And then the starch can be like creamy and smooth like a potato. So that's going to be your ballad. And, then the great work, the end of the work, that's your protein. Now, you may be a steak guy. You may like it rare. You may be a sushi guy and you don't want to cook and how does the sushi pair with the potatoes and and then you got to take, now I also got to remember I have consumers of this food that have to like it. Just because I like it doesn't mean the adjudicators are going to like it.
Gotcha.
And so,
but to your point, so you can look, so in that same term, then you can look at your band and go, you know what? We know how to prepare steak. We've got the steak down.
Yes.
We've nailed it. We've got we got to make our menu a little broader now. Let's focus on some sushi. Let's put some sushi in here and help them understand.
Or we suck at sushi, so we are not putting that on the plate.
Are you always this pathetic?
And the reason I told you earlier, I don't like John Philip Sousa. I don't like his music. Doesn't really speak to me.
Yeah.
Here's why: I could never get my band to play John Philip Sousa really, really well.
Gotcha.
Now, what you have to do to play John Philip Sousa really, really well is play a lot of it.
Gotcha.
And I didn't like failing at it, so I just stopped playing it. So there's an example of my kids probably should have played more sushi.
Gotcha.
But I didn't like the sushi, so I didn't play the sushi. So you get my metaphor there?
Sushi's not for everybody. It is what it is. No. I get it. So when it comes to, so to the other side of this, because the audience themselves being band parents, right?
And they're coming up on state contest in the next 3 weeks.
So band parents, first and foremost, understand that you can attend this event. So if this is something that you're interested in, want to see kind of the other side of it, or the other thing that they spend all their time on during this time of the year, you will see it at concerts, right? Most of the kids perform the same pieces at their concerts, at their schools, etc.
Yes.
But it's a different environment, right?
And here's the hidden magic trick behind the door. Like when most people don't realize, maybe let's see if you realize this. Do you know what happens when the kids leave the stage?
Yes, actually, I do.
What do?
They go to a clinic.
Oh. Yeah, kind of. They go to sight reading. It's part of their score.
Oh, so sorry. No, I didn't.
They get a half hour, but the first 15 minutes, they have to sight read a piece cold.
Gotcha.
So when the students, and the rules vary from place to place, but I'll give you a flavor of what it was like in Arizona.
Sure.
You walk into the room and you tell the kids at the door, you are not to make a sound. If you make a sound on your instrument, we're disqualified.
Okay.
And it's a part of your rating. So you can't get a superior distinction unless you got a superior in sight reading.
Gotcha.
There's music and it's flat against the stand without the ink facing out.
Sure.
While the adjudicator talks to the group, hey, welcome. This is your sight reading portion. I'm Steve. I'm your clinician. You're about to do the adjudicator. The director gets 3 minutes to look at the score.
Okay.
So I'm like, where's the repeats? Where are the key changes? What's the tempo? What's going to screw us up? I mean, I'm trying to find every pratfall that I can find.
Okay.
Then I get 3 minutes to give the band instructions. Mm-hmm. Now, in some places you can sing. In some paces, you can blow air through your instruments. In Arizona, you cannot.
Okay.
You can count, but you can, or at least when I taught, you cannot sing.
Okay.
But you could pad slap if the instrument didn't go to the mouth. Pad slap meaning move the buttons.
Do the keys.
So I would have the way it would look as I had a formula, and I'd be like, kids, flip the page over quickly. What's the key? It's in the key of E flat, Michelin. Correct. Take your finger and touch that key. Touch all 3 flats. Now take your instrument in your lap and play the E flat scale. Do you understand the key? Yes. Mr. Lang, what's the time signature? And I would call quarter note equals 60. What's the bar signature? 2-4. everyone, can we think of a piece of music that would be similar? N 2 4 quarter equals 60.
Make it relatable.
Can you sing that in your mind right now?
Okay. I like that. Yeah,
and you walk through guys, there's a repeat in measure 42. Touch it. Tap it twice, clap it twice, touch it twice because you're tactilizing.
Okay.
Where does it go back to? Measure 5. Drag your finger across the music back to measure. You come up with every trick you can without actually singing, actually playing an instrument, or actually having them play what's on the page.
Gotcha.
You get 3 minutes, and then it's all right, kids, here we go.
Okay.
And I always had rules. I'd say, if you're going to make a mistake, make it, and the kids would scream loud.
Gotcha.
Right? And if you're going to, we know that when you get lost, what do? We look up at you. You'll count us into the next bar. Like, I had my rules so the kids knew, and then you just go.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha. And it's a real testament to, do you have a system, but can you teach?
Yeah.
You got 3 minutes, and everyone's going to read the same piece of music.
Gotcha.
He's going to hear 60 bands sight read that piece.
Gotcha.
Then when you're done, you flip it back over, and that same judge, who's a clinic judge. So when you have 3 judges that give you a score, and then you have 2 clinic judges.
Okay.
One is in the room with a group, clinicking and doing sight reading. The other's on stage listening to the group, and they follow the group. Right. So that the guy listening to you follows you in. Now, parents, the reason I say all that is, if you ever want to have real respect for what your kids can do and real respect for your teacher, follow them into the sight reading room and watch them do that process.
Gotcha.
Because your kids are reading a foreign language in real time while trying to make musical phrases, balance, blend. They're trying to tune. They're trying to make it sound like a concert, never having seen the piece of music before.
Interesting.
It's fascinating.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that piece of it before. I've seen, when they're done and they go in the room with the clinician, who basically what they do is they just focus on a couple of specific parts or pieces of the music that they played, and they work on refining some of that stuff a little bit more. They just get a different depth of instruction from a different clinician after, they've left the stage or whatever. So I've seen that part of it, but I haven't seen the sight reading.
Well, and again, everyone, like in Texas, my understanding is you can sing and you can move buttons, but they can't make pitches. So you can't pad slap it hard.
Gotcha.
But to give you an idea, like in Arizona, after I left teaching, they took away sight reading from the state contest.
Yeah.
It's only at area, because they're trying to assess a skill to move you forward. At state contest, who cares if you can sight read? There's 2 weeks left in the year.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. I think they should have kept it at stake. I think they should do it, because I think what it does, here's what it's designed to do. That one band that has played the same music for 8 months, it's designed to expose them. Okay, you practice something for 8 months, you sound pretty good. How much can the kids really do? Read it cold.
No, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, I get that.
I think
I could see the value in that.
It shows some weaker bands to be really fine teachers, and it shows some really great bands to be not as fine, that they just spent a lot more time on the music.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. So again, back to kind of our audience here, which is, our band parents who, again, so parents, what we were saying is you can be a part of this process as well. Like Scott said, it's usually during the day. So pay attention to maybe announcements or your band calendar or wherever those things get sliced, because a lot of the times, your band's performance could be at 10 a.m., for instance. It could be 2 p.m., whatever it is. So make sure you're paying attention, because those things can be all over the place. But also, you may have to take off of work or something. So,
and it's worth,
but it is a cool experience.
It is worth, I will tell you, take off an extra hour of work, and you're going to follow your band through sight reading,
right?
But go an hour early and hear 2 bands before your kid's band. So you have a frame of reference, because you go out on Friday night to contest or Saturday to contest. You get to see 12 bands, and you can go, hey, we didn't come out first, but God, I thought we were the second best band out of 12. You don't know that about concert band.
Yeah.
Until you've sat through 4 other bands and go, oh, of the 4 bands, we were the best band. We're pretty good at this concert band thing.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, a rating, a lot of bands get 2s. I mean, some bands that are almost a superior and some bands that are almost a 3, and they don't like to give out 3s. You got to be pretty low to
I see.
So I think it's important that you get that same perspective in the concert band. And I think it's important you get to see your kids do something that it's as academic as the ACT. It's what it is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so
I think it'd be cool one time to talk about, and I don't know if this would be enough for an episode or something we do on social media, but you mentioned, I think one of the things we come back to a lot is just the way things are done in different places, which again, I know we talk about that all the time, but I remember, for example, when I was helping out proctor the regional tryouts for regional band here a couple months ago. The person that I had as a judge was originally from Texas, and they pointed out that so the way that we do our tryouts here is you go into a secluded room, right?
Correct.
And you play in front of a partition. You don't see the judge, right? The judge can't know who it is, right? Because that's why it's not biased. Because there's a lot of times where these judges may be private tutors,
absolutely,
100%, things like that, right? So
even if it's inadvertently biased,
right? Exactly. So basically, the kids go in a room and they play to a partition, which is and oftentimes pretty nerve wracking. It's them by themselves in a room, playing to a wall, knowing there's somebody behind them listening and judging them. Correct. But the gentleman told me that in Texas, when it comes to the specific instruments, they play in front of the whole room of people. Like literally, the whole room is like sitting together, and they get called up to play.
Yeah, I've not experienced.
So I just can't imagine what that's
Texas,
like either.
My understanding is, and it's this way in some other places, is it's all by recording. There's nothing live. So if you're in it could be small school. So there's two different divisions in Texas. There's UIL, and then there's ATSSBA, Association of Texas Small School Bands.
Gotcha.
Okay. But UIL, it's all recorded. Now, here's what's interesting. But it's self-record, and you're only supposed to record it once.
Yeah.
So the way you're supposed to do it is your band director sets up a recording on Wednesday, and he brings you in every 8 minutes. You don't stop, do it again. You messed up. But it's on the honor system.
Right.
So and they do that, I think, in Texas for volume, but they also do it for it's the physicality of driving. I mean, it's 14 hours across the state. In Alaska.
Yeah, that's really a good point, actually.
Yeah, I mean, so there's some physical barriers in terms of geography. And in Tennessee, they have, because Tennessee is long and runs east-west, they have mid-state, east-state, and west-state all-state.
Yeah,
so there's not one all-state, there's 3 all-states.
Yeah.
And it's geography.
That's actually really interesting you say that. I know, again, I had the chance to help out and kind of escort a little bit during all-state tryouts as well. And I met a gentleman who was trying out for tuba for the all-state band. And yeah, he was from very down south in Arizona, down like Tucson. And I think his audition was at 9 in the morning or something, which is up here in Gilbert, Arizona. I know that's hard for some people to understand, but basically this kid had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to make sure that he got to this tryout in time in Gilbert, Arizona, just because he had enough passion to want to make the all-state band for tuba, which, God, props to these kids and what they're willing to do.
Oh, and just so you know, like, folks, think about this, and we've ventured a little bit off the contest to the all-state, but
you're right.
No, that's a good thing. But depending on the instrument you play, now think about this. There are, depending on the all-state band, typically between 18 and 24 clarinets in an all-state band.
Right.
Arizona runs a very large all-state band. They run 24 deep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the all-state band. 6 alto saxes. To make the all-state band on alto sax is harder than snot.
Yeah, no question.
To make the all-state band on clarinet is incredibly hard. But to make it on sax, they only take 2 oboes. To make it on oboe is... And so even within that system, depending on the instrument you play, it's a very different experience.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. So anyway, back to what we were talking about, which is contests. So back to the parents. Parents, you can attend if you want to check out the schedule. Now, is there anything parents should know in terms of helping their kids in terms of preparation for these types of things? Like what does the parent involvement need to be in some way?
Just show up and tell your kid they did great when they were done.
Fair enough.
But again, I think it's just really important. If you're a parent and you can break free for 30 minutes and hear your kid, that's great. If you can break free for an hour and follow them through sight reading, it will blow your mind what your kid can do. And if you can break free for 2.5 hours and catch 2 other groups and hear your kid and go through the sight reading experience, I think you'll have a tremendous respect for not just the band director in the program, but what your kid has actually learned. Because that sight reading is not like marching band where we do it for 6 months, 8 hours a day. They're testing their cognitive, their literacy, and their musical skills in real time.
Yeah.
And that is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. No, it is. It's incredibly impressive. And I appreciate you bring the perspective, at least of helping even me or any other parent understand why it is as important as it is, meaning that, amongst your peers, amongst your ability to be a teacher and really, to your point, in the forms of academia, this is.
I was
the
more
most
nervous
important
at state concert contests than I was at state marching. And I was nervous at both, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
I kind of knew. Well, and going into state marching, I had a pretty good idea where we were going to land because I'd been to 10 other contests.
Yeah.
I'd been to Friday night shows. I'd seen every band.
Yeah.
When you go to state concert, you have no idea what kind of, and usually the judges are from out of state. They might be cranky. They might not give any superiors that entire day.
Interesting.
And so I will tell you that was the most nerve-wracking, was going to state contest. Area for us was in-state judges. I knew where we were going to land because I knew all the judges and I knew where we were compared to my peers.
Yeah.
State, you kind of knew where you were compared to your peers, but most of them have been weeded out because state, you already had to have a one or a two, but you didn't know the judges.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. No, but your point about, and again, it's something I've never thought about before, even being someone who's gone and watched and attended these things, I guess I never thought about the vulnerability or how exposed the director themselves are, because they are accountable for what's happening and really nobody else.
100%.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it is. It is very terrifying, and it's terrifying personally because you don't want to be a failure.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, the parents aren't going to care, but you're going to know if your band didn't play well, it's because you chose bad literature or you didn't prepare them well.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And that's all on you.
So if this makes me think of something else, but I'm gonna ask the question in context to this, but it does make me think of something else, because one of the things that I think we should talk about at some point, and I don't know if it'll be a full episode, it might just be maybe again something we do for social media, but man, I think at some point we've got to talk about etiquette, audience etiquette. I think we've got to have that conversation because I've seen some examples of some things that I feel like we've got to address. But for something like this, parents are not used to this type of contest or concert, whatever you want to call it. Are there any tips you want to give them in terms of etiquette, showing up how to behave there? Like,
don't sit anywhere near the judges.
Okay.
You're not there to hear their comments.
Okay.
You're there to hear your kid.
Yep.
And they generally block 1 or 2 rows off, but just go 10 rows away. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, you can applaud, but it's generally not frowned upon. It's an academic activity. There's nothing wrong with if you want to applaud, but there's typically only 5 parents in the audience, so it feels weird anyway.
Okay.
5 people applauding.
Okay.
But generally, it's an academic exercise, and you're there to watch only.
Yep.
But the biggest rule is probably true of any other contest, which is just stay out of your director's way and don't talk to them.
Okay, that's fair.
Because they're in a headspace that is sheer terror.
That's a really good point.
And just don't even smile. Don't say good job. Just stay away from them because they're in the zone and you're thinking, what a great concert. And they're thinking, what's the sight reading piece?
Yeah, gotcha. I have newfound respect and perspective based on this conversation that, to your point, I may not have had before going into one of those things. So I appreciate that. But yeah, the one thing that continues to be a pet peeve of mine that some people seem to disregard, and I would say no matter what the concert, I'm just going to say this because it made me think and I'm just triggered by it, is please stop walking into the auditorium during the middle of performances, for the love of everything.
And they should have, at state contests, they should have monitors at the door.
Please, folks, please, if something is happening, if a band is playing, wait until it's over before you enter the auditorium. If for some reason you absolutely have to get inside because it's your kid and you don't want to miss another moment, again, be so quiet and so subtle.
And just stand at the back of the auditorium. Don't try and go walk to a seat.
Walk through the crowd. But man, the amount of people that I see, first and foremost, swing the door open and the light comes in and it disrupts everything. The door closes. It makes a loud noise. I'm thinking to myself, are these people completely unaware of where they are?
You're there to see your kid, but it's going to distract your kid and it's going to make the band play less well. So you're hurting your own kid.
Holy moly. That was just something that's just on my mind. And I think we got to make some social media shorts or something about some etiquette, because there's just some things that.
So when you're just in closing, when your director talks about state contest or contest, spring contest, whatever it's called in your state, and they talk about the rating, know that it's an achievement and it's an academic exercise and there's no fluff. And it took real teaching and real playing by the kids to get there. And it should be treated the same as if they had gotten first place at a marching contest. It's more important in my mind, but certainly as important in everyone's mind.
So before we close, I guess, again, I don't know if we can do this because we can only really think of the context of where our kids are and they're playing right now. How do I say this the right way? Is there a place that most people should kind of expect? Meaning that we talked about in Arizona, they have Superior as a rating, right?
Right.
Does that mean if a band comes back lower than Superior, which in our state is excellent, they should feel bad about it?
No.
So what would you say is kind of like, is generally excellence like they're on par with where they should be? Anything over
Here's
that?
the thing: a superior band is a band that the phraseology they use is Always, sometimes, always, never. Yeah.
We're back to box
always
5.
Plays with good tone.
Okay.
Always plays in tune. Always. So it's that same box 5. A 2 band, which is where most bands are.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you get a 2 in Texas, you are in trouble. But in the rest of the living planet, that's most bands, which means your kids usually play with good tone, good sound, good articulation. They do most things well.
Gotcha.
If you get a 3, I would probably argue that if you said, oh, the so-and-so band got a 3, I would argue that one of 2 things happened. They had some logistical issues, which means they only have 1 trumpet and they're not good.
Okay.
It's not bad teaching. It's just, or the teacher chose wildly out of touch literature.
Choices, right?
Yeah. Gotcha. So if you get a 3, here's what they say. This is what they say. Kids get superiors, teachers get 3s.
Oh.
In other words, if your band gets a superior, it's because those kids put in the time and effort. If the band gets a 3, it's not the kid's fault. It's the teacher's fault. They chose wrong literature. They used their time poorly, or they did not prepare the band. And you probably shouldn't be going to contest to get a 3.
Interesting.
Because if you're learning new things at contests, like, hey, they're playing wrong notes, that's a problem.
Gotcha.
So in general, you're generally going to see almost nothing but 1s and 2s.
Gotcha.
Most groups will get a 2. And the 2s will just simply mean your kids are human. They were great, but they were human.
Yeah. If
they get a superior, it means, or a superior distinction, that means they are a well-trained, well-rehearsed ensemble.
Okay, fair enough. Well, folks, we know as convoluted as a lot of the band stuff can be, and we've already worked very hard to try and help people understand what the nuances of things like marching band are and how that stuff happens. If you have questions about this activity, if you're curious more about contests or anything that we've talked about here, best way to get hold of us is always our email. So send us an email, feedback@banddadspodcast.com. If it's a story, whatever it is, ask us a question, whatever you'd like to engage, however you'd like to engage based on a conversation like this, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. Anything we can do to help either share your story or give you some additional knowledge and help empower you to understand that better, because a more empowered parent is a more engaged parent, and that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, this isn't called the Marching Band Dad podcast. It's called the Band Dad, and concert band's a part of this activity.
Absolutely is a part of it. And you talked about before, we've talked about concert band over and over again, but this same concept does exist for jazz band.
Yes, correct.
Which is my favorite. As we know, that's my favorite band, because jazz is the cool band. So as we know, that's my favorite. And I do attend, and I did attend our group's jazz contest because I love jazz that much. So it's really,
me too.
It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
And I will tell you, jazz bands are getting harder to find, and it's harder to get a 1 in jazz. And it's simply, now you have all the concepts of concert band, but now the kids have to be able to improv.
Improv too.
And a great band with bad improv is likely a 2.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole nother level. We'll do a podcast on jazz band.
Nice. Love it. All right, folks. Again, that'll be the episode we have for you on contest. Reach out to us via emails. We talked about, come find us on social media, the Band Dad Pods, the Band Dads Pod on TikTok. Find us on YouTube. Come check us out on Instagram, all that fun stuff. We have plenty more in store for you. So that's it for now. I'm Chris Flynn here with
Scott Lang.
Thanks again for listening, folks. We are the
Band Dads.
Band Dads on 3! 1, 2, 3, Band Dads!
The Band Dads are a proud partner of Booster Hub. Simplify your Booster Club's management with Booster Hub's all-in-one tools. Find out more and get your free trial started by visiting boosterhub.com. The Band Dads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, please visit 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, please visit scottlang.net.